This month's inspirational icon is American scientist, botanist, and inventor George Washington Carver, who, despite being born into slavery, became an internationally recognized scientist. As the birth records of slaves were rarely kept, it's impossible to say exactly when George Washington Carver was born. Historians guess the year 1864, sometime in the month of January. He was owned by Moses and Susan Carver. After slavery was abolished, the Carvers raised George as their own son and taught him basic reading and writing skills. It was difficult for George to further his education as schools were segregated and African American schools were few and far between. He eventually gained acceptance to a university and began to study botany in 1891 at the Iowa State Agricultural College. There, he was the first African American student and later taught as the first African American faculty member. Up until this time, he had been known simply as George Carver, but there happened to be another George Carver at Iowa State. George picked the name Washington as his middle name to stop the two George Carvers from getting their mail confused. The reference to the first president of the United States is simply a coincidence. Carver's most famous work involved crop research. In the South, farmers' crops consisted of mostly cotton. Year after year, the soil became more and more depleted, and one single disease or pest infestation had the possibility to wipe out an entire crop. George proposed that farmers rotate the crops they planted each year. In order to promote this idea, he developed uses for alternative crops, namely peanuts. He wrote 105 food recipes using peanuts. He also developed and promoted hundreds of products made from peanuts, including cosmetics, dyes, paints, plastics, gasoline, and nitroglycerin. In his lifetime, George Washington Carver became a well-known scientist whose accomplishments have received international acclaim. He met 3 U.S. presidents, testified as an expert botanist to Congress, and was even a member of the Royal Society of Arts in England, an honor very few Americans receive. Despite the trials of segregation, Carver went on to make many great inventions, but not because he wanted fame, because he wanted to benefit all of mankind. His hard work and perseverance make George Washington Carver our inspirational icon of the month.